Is your brokerage or team having an identity crisis? Are you struggling with recruiting or struggling with really getting your agent value out to consumers? Well, I talked to Lauren Henss today. She is the VP of Marketing and Strategic Initiatives at FirstTeam. They are a RealTrends Verified top 30. Their national volume rank is 30 on the RealTrends Verified rankings. And she's worked with brands such as Chanel and Salesforce and Nike and La Perla. And she did a complete digital transformation for the brokerage and had some exciting, really interesting information to share. I think it's a must listen for any brokerage or team or even agent who wants to rebrand or boost their business. So enjoy the podcast. And I want to give a special thanks to HomeBot for sponsoring this RealTrending episode. Well, Lauren, welcome to the RealTrending podcast. Glad to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're going to talk all things marketing today. And you've worked with some amazing brands, Chanel, Nike, Salesforce, Compass, Toll Brothers. You're with FirstTeam now. So
Yeah.
what was the very first thing you noticed about real estate branding that made you say, okay, this has to change?
Well, I think there's two parts of it from like a consumer brand standpoint and integrating it into real estate. So one was real estate talks to people, like talks at people versus connecting with people, right? And when you look at like modern brokerage marketing, they're like, we do X, we're fabulous, this is this, come join us. And it's like, no, that's not exactly what we need to do. So when we're looking at a consumer, we're looking at, they're like, who are you? Why do I care? Why do I want to work with your agents? And the same thing applies to the agent is what's in it for me? Why do I care? And why should I want to work with you? So it is a partnership between the consumer and the agent, and it is a partnership between the brokerage and the agent that has to be done. And then I think the other trend that has been obvious in terms of real estate being a little bit behind is agents now, as do brokerages, have to basically provide an integrated marketing experience. It is not just, here's a postcard, here we go. Like that is not what true marketing is. Marketing is, and brand is a sum total of experiences one has with you. So you have to make sure that all those experiences are united.
I mean, that's a great point. A lot of times you're not really thinking that. I know even at HousingWire, we recently went through a whole persona exercise.
Yeah.
And I thought that I was reaching that persona and I realized no, there's some things I need to change. So I totally understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
I think what people need to understand about like a brand, and when you look at consumer brands, it's not that we just took it from a consumer brand standpoint and like changed everything about it. That's not what we did. Like what we did, and we kind of talk about this, is the brand is memorable. When I talk about the sum total of experiences one has with you, that really goes beyond marketing. It is the way that the agent answers the phone. It is their website. It is the way that they, integrate in terms of other conversations with other agents. It's advertising. It's everything. So you have to make sure that those touch points are there. And then when we look at the other part that everybody really needs to do is the agent's the value creator at the end of the day. So when you look at like the big top brands that I've worked with, it's the same thing. You're just tooling it from an agent experience. So like Nike, the athlete is the hero, right? Always in terms of that. When you look at Apple, the creator is the hero. And then when you look at Airbnb, the hosts are the heroes. So it's just making them in the hero of the story, and making sure that they understand and we're positioning them on how to best serve their clients.
And then, FirstTeam had a strong legacy, and you said the story didn't really match the talent. So what's the difference between a legacy brand that's known and a modern brand that's actually understood?
Let's talk about this. When you look at a legacy brand and you look at a typical brand, a legacy brand is we've been around for 50 years. Okay. When you look at a modern brand, We are paving the way to build an integrated platform to attract agents to double their production in 2 years. That is the difference between a modern and a legacy brand. So legacy brand is tatting about past, future, or past, and relying on past experiences and just experience that they've had in the agency. When you look at a futuristic brand, it's constantly evolving with the customer, whether that be the agent, whether that be the brokerage, whether that be the consumer. And it is saying, and basically based on the personas that you are trying to attract, it frames it accordingly to the messaging and the offer proposition, the value proposition that it creates, right? So that, I think, is the main thing.
So you're not saying do away with the legacy part of it.
No,
You're just saying it has to evolve from talking about your past to, talking about the future. Or
you have to, yes, you have to evolve your value proposition to best fit your particular consumer that you're trying to attract. And why should they care? Because
Okay.
when you look at this, when consumers are making a decision, you have 4 seconds to before they decide, they judge you. And 90% of consumer brands are based on trust.
Mhm.
So if you look at it and you say, I've been around for 50 years, they're like, great, what's in it for me and why should I care?
Yeah.
So it's more of just not like being the 800-pound gorilla. It's producing those micro experiences.
So you led a full digital transformation in under a year. So what does that look like from the inside, like culturally, tech stack upgrades, the storytelling that all held it together?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was a big undertaking. And when you lead a digital transformation, what I love about it is a digital transformation, like everybody thinks it's like, we're just redoing one type of software. They think we're redoing a CRM and they're like, it's done. No, what you really have to do is analyze the overall customer life cycle of the agent. What is that entire experience of the agent from onboarding all the way to exit? And what does that look like? Right. So when you're doing a digital transformation, it's not a tech project. And I don't think people understand that. It's a cultural one. So when we're looking at it, this is what was involved. We really had to shift from an instinct, based decisions to data-driven decisions. And that is different sometimes from a legacy brokerage, right? I think the other thing we had to build when we're building a modern tech stack, we had to have like dynamic CMS, we had to have advanced CEO, we had to have predictive modeling, which nobody thinks about it. It involved rewiring workflows to be horizontal instead of, regular. And then we had to, introduce SLAs and teams and everything to really lead that digital transformation. And I think nobody really understands what that looks like until you really do it and handle it.
So that became behind the agent. It's what like the centerpiece of First Team's marketing.
Yeah.
And so what does it mean to have the agent as the hero, and how does that differ from traditional brokerage? You talked a little bit about this, but let's dive in a little bit deeper about what behind the agent actually is, what that is, and how it kind of changed the marketing style that was happening before.
Yeah. So behind the agent, I mean, we build meaningful careers. That is the main difference with us, in terms of that. We're not here to, we'll go into more of the attraction, whatever, but we build meaningful career paths. So the difference with how behind the agent came about, and when we worked with 1,000 Watts, who were as amazing, there are differentiators when we met with our agents and we did focus groups that really stand out. One is behind the agent, we're made by realtors for realtors. We are vastly independent, meaning if I want to do a new product offering or if I want to launch a new campaign, I can instantly do that in a minute. All our decisions are agent-centric, meaning we make it behind the agent in terms of their growth. So we build meaningful careers, whether they come in for a new agent, right? Whether they want to be a team leader or whether or not they want to go into ownership and then have a sellable asset at the end. So that is the main difference. We're not, Michelle and I and Anna like to say, we're in the career business. We are in the real estate business, but we're in the career business of building meaningful careers and not putting them into a box. So how behind the agent came about is we met with many different agents. And I'm like, all of these successful agents, what do they have in common? What is important to them and how do they thrive? They were all completely innovative. They were all tech savvy. They were all genuine. They were all extremely collaborative, and they were extremely eager. And what I wanted to do is I did not want one single head figure to be the center of the story, because some people may not resonate with me. Agents may not resonate with Michelle. They may not resonate with Anna. And I wanted to build it off of real agents, off of people that they resonate to, and be like, I want to be this person. I want to collaborate with this person. So what we did is we basically developed these different personas that we're trying to recruit, right? And made the agents the influencers of our story. So everything that we do, whether it is new tech stacks and being able to opt in and new tech stacks from, different types of appearances, all of that, it is built from that culture moving forward. And agents have absolutely loved it because they've had it to build their brands as well.
And so doing that, as an independent, I think a lot of brokers really, it's like they just recruit anybody. By doing that, you're really heavily honing in on the exact agent that you want for the company. So how does that, how difficult is that to say no, or to, to really maybe turn down a top producer who does not fit with your culture?
I think honestly, when you look at it, when you were asking about it, I know you were asking like, how do I sleep at night, right? And
how do you do it?
Me, I sleep better. I sleep better because of it. And there's a reason why. Because if your brand is for everyone, then it's for no one.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So we attract ambitious agents, right? We attract growth-minded teams, people who want to lead, learners, community builders, right? We repel the misaligned mindsets, right? That don't go with us, that do not collaborate without ego, passive agents, brand people I call brand renters, who are just there, part-time to work like one day a year, and people who don't want accountability. So when we're looking at that filter, brand's a filter, marketing amplifies the filter, and then repelling makes the culture healthier, and culture drives the revenue, right? In terms of what that is. And I think at the end of the day, when we're looking at that, that is the best way to do it. Because if you're looking at agents joining a brokerage and your relationship as the brokerage with the agent, and you're looking at it as a strategic partnership versus just somebody holding their license there, that's what works really well. And that's what is great. And I think that also goes down to when we're talking about the agents we want to attract, marketing and sales are aligned in terms of the business goals of the organization. We have a true relationship. So that helps us attract the right ones that are going to perform, that are going to stay with the brokerage, and that are going to work. And we have a 98% retention rate. So it is definitely working.
That was my next question. How do you know it's working? Are there any other factors that you track to know that your new campaign or your new branding and marketing plan are working?
Yeah, I think it is, when we're going into the micro segments of the agents that we're trying to attract, they're definitely coming. I would also say that, our conversion rates are amazing right now. Our conversion rates have increased by over 32%. So I think that is, what we're seeing in terms of, website visits and those kinds of things. We've increased by over 553% since we launched our website in April. And people are very much responding to what we're doing. The other thing that we track, which is different than any, other marketing organization, is I track once they're there, what was their experience? What is their net promoter score? How likely are they recommended to recommend marketing? And also, what is their, CSAT score as well? So we're looking at everything in terms of what's working, what's not working. And I think it's important that marketing is a strategic entity. It is not just graphic design. It is not just flyers. It is a strategic revenue growth driver for the business.
So your airport takeover, CTV campaigns, luxury partnerships, influencer style, agent storytelling, kind of feel like a global consumer brand playbook, more than typical brokerage marketing. So which consumer world tactics translated best and if any flopped?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have, I think that's, marketing, you're going to have some that, flop occasionally. And I think that's what you have to do. But what really worked, I mean, I would say in terms of like AI, cinematic, emotional, in terms of consumer brands, emotional driven storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at connected TV, airport placements, yeah, they were ads, but they were emotional. It was more behind the agent, and we did have, your address awaits. So it was personalized to the agent. It wasn't just us taking a, airport takeover and say, here's FirstTeam, let's go. So I think that's what. I think the other thing that really worked very well was agent as content creator content, right? Short, unscripted, vertical videos that outperform corporate content like 5 to 10 times. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because humans trust humans. What did not work is when you're having campaigns. Real estate moves very fast. It moves much faster than luxury brands. So what didn't work was all these, I'm like, oh, we're going to do this tailored, gorgeous campaign with all. Mm-hmm. It moves too fast. In real estate, you have to fail fast. You have to do things MVP, minimum viable product, see if it works, test, and do the next thing. So I think that's important to look at when we're gauging stuff. AI powered personalization worked very well in terms of customer journeys from a marketing standpoint. So making sure for those personas that we created, what are those custom journeys in terms of content that we want to give them, whether it be in text format, video, different community groups, those kinds of things. That worked really, really well based on feedback that they wanted to do and education. So I think you have to know your audience, and you have to understand that the most sexy thing may not be right for you, right?
Yeah.
But I still would say the emotional driven storytelling is going to be number one in any book. And then I think also meeting your customer and your agent where they're at and what those platforms are. Yeah. I think the big misrepresentation is everybody's like, oh, I want to be on TikTok. Great. Not all my agents are on TikTok. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on TikTok. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on all these different platforms. They subscribe to HousingWire. I'm looking at where they're at and what matters and giving them the right moment at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that emotional, personalized experience works the best. I mean, real estate is a relationship business, so it's a little bit different from some consumer brands that, the one-on-one relationship.
Oh yeah, 100%. There. It's a relationships business. And I think at the other part that we do really well, which is important in real estate, is agents need to be seen and they need to act as true advisors. Anybody can, go get their license, but the ones that are going to succeed in this world are the ones that act as true advisors to their clients, anticipating their needs, understanding the persona of that, of that client, understanding their world, and being 10 steps ahead of what that looks like.
And so you helped drive $1 billion in new recruited revenue and another $1 billion in market share in 2024. So I know brokers listening want to know the secret. What were the biggest kind of unlocks that actually moved the needle for you? And what advice do you have for brokers who are, rethinking the way they're marketing and the way they're recruiting now?
I think it's a couple of things. I think if you have a marketer who is ahead of marketing, that marketer absolutely needs to have a seat at the table among the executive team. When Michelle chose, the four of us as women to lead this initiative, we were all very, very good in our lane. She didn't plan on it being women. Wanted to choose the best. And then we just happened to be women, right? At that point in time.
Yeah.
So I think when you're looking at it, the future, when you're looking at it, you absolutely have to have a seat at the table. So you need to have marketing where you have your brand and performance is one part. Agent marketing is separate. You need to have them separate because they will run parallel in some instances from a customer experience standpoint, but you need to have an arm that is truly driven to brand, revenue generation, demand gen, all of that part. And I think what happens is a lot of times they just try to condense it into here's the e-commerce side, here's the agent fulfillment, and you can't do that. Like you need to lead properly. But what I'm seeing and what, brokerages really need to do is the future sits now between in marketing as identity, intelligence, and experience. So when I look at, what's coming, I can tell you exactly what they need to do and get involved with. One is like predictive AI experience engines. I think that's a big one. So adaptive journeys that update daily for their agents. I think that is the number one thing that they can give them from a marketing standpoint, whether that be, Real Scout, Local Logic, FUB, all of those kinds of things that can provide that. I think you're going to see, and you're already seeing it now, but especially in the land of AI, agents are going to continue to be full stack creators. So you're going to see a lot more successful, high, vertical video, data storytelling. That's what performs the best, I think. You're going to see luxury experience as a baseline. So everything in the experience is the expectation right now. I think people need to understand that it's not just going in, talking to a client, getting a listing, putting it on the market and selling it. It is more of creating those powerful moment experiences. I think also you're going to see those local experiences that we talked about. So, AI powered lifestyle maps, which we're already seeing, but data incorporated into local logic reels and those kinds of things. But the biggest thing that I think that people are trying to figure out, especially in the consolidation phase that we're going through now, is trying, and it's not going to happen for a long time, but is one real estate operating system. So the true unification of the CRM, the marketing, the intelligence, the search, the automations, the dashboards. Now, some of them, we already have that, but they do 60% of it well.
Yeah.
So I think the whole industry is going to move in this direction.
It's interesting. So what do you see as kind of the next frontier if you want to stay relevant for 2025 and beyond? What should they be experimenting with? You just talked a little bit about some things, but anything else?
For brokerages or for agents?
For brokerages.
I think brokerages really need to think of it as treat the brand as a consumer facing brand. And I think they need to look at not only have two sides of the entity, which is the customer facing brand, and how do you want to be pursued to the customer? So for example, we have like the address awaits campaign, right? That is the consumer facing campaign. And then you need to have an entity that is agent facing, which is obviously our behind the agent campaign from a recruitment. So I really think that it's going to fold into you have one brand, but there's two different sectors that serve the similar purpose. And I think that's what they need to do to relate to the correct audiences. I think the ones that are just resting on their laurels of just having more market share or whatever, I think it's not going to matter. I think the advanced part of we're already in an advanced personalization from experiences with AI. I think everybody from a brokerage standpoint needs to understand that, and they need to produce those advanced personalization methods and outreach for their agents to give to their clients and from a targeting standpoint. Because of course there's nurturing sequences that are 3 emails or whatever that you see in FUB, right? Or you see your standard sphere of influence. People are smarter than what they ever have been. And you're competing people see over, it was literally studied that they see over, what was it, 152,000 different messages within literally 4 minutes a day.
Wow.
So when you're doing that, you need to break through the noise and you need to
Mhm.
care about. So gone are the days of, hi, first name, want to see if you want to meet with me about X property.
Right.
No, they don't care. So I think it's those personalization stories. I think that it is adaptive messaging, whether that be obviously um, doing the messaging across social, doing the messaging across email, doing the messaging across text message, push notification, everything
Mhm.
to make sure that you're meeting that consumer where they're at based on demographics and psychographics that they care about. Lastly, I think AI, the biggest thing that brokerages need to do is have agents come up when we're talking about content creators, exactly
Mhm.
like this. They need to get them to use AI. If you're
Yeah.
not using AI within the next 2 years, you're going to be absolutely irrelevant.
Mhm.
It's not going to be there. And then also making sure from that content, from, answer engine optimization, people more now than ever are searching on ChatGPT for homes. Give me
Yeah.
a luxury home at this price point in
Mhm.
Carlsbad, right? So I think when we're looking at agents and we're looking at brokerages, agents need to be optimizing their profile
Mhm.
in terms of having the right content that makes them relevant in order to get more listings. Because when you look at it, very few agents were actually productive last year and actually had a listing.
Yeah.
So they need to show up and search. So if I sit here and I say, okay, who is the number one luxury sales
Mhm.
agent, real estate agent in Carlsbad, California, you need to come up. So that means more content through blogs, more content on social, adding FAQs to your landing page that you have,
Mhm.
which is very, very simple, and being relevant. Go to awards, go to HousingWire,
Mhm.
events, go to those things and show how you're relating and building those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. All great advice and really kind of a mindset shift for a lot of brokers
It is.
in how they take on, marketing to agents, marketing to consumers as well. So interesting.
It is,
Yeah.
but you know what? I think the data doesn't lie at
Yeah.
the end of the day, right? Like the data
Mhm.
doesn't lie. And I think, you know, when we're looking at it, buying a home is one of the most important decisions a person makes in their life.
Mhm.
For an agent, this career is one of the most important things at their life. So if you treat each one like a true partnership, then it goes through. And I mean, I can't tell you how many rewarding experiences from behind the agent where we met with them. And I think this is different when you were asking about this on how we're different. I think this is an important point is we'll meet with the agent.
Mhm.
We will do a deep audit of their business of the past year. And that includes marketing, that includes everything of
Mhm.
how they got their business. But I'm also saying a competitor audit
Mm.
in terms of who their biggest agents are.
Yeah.
And then we will come back, Michelle, Anna, and I, with a
Mhm.
marketing plan, with a plan of how to succeed in their business. And we will meet with them quarterly. That's not done
No.
to where we're going so deep and I'm sitting here going, okay, you want to go against this agent at this listing at this brokerage, here's what you need to say.
That's value. I mean, that's real
That is
solid
value
value.
because
Yeah.
and I think the big difference between us is we have people who have come from advertising and
Mhm.
marketing, right? We have over
Yeah.
75 years of global experience. They've done this before, but we also have people for real estate.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of it that is different is we analyze 100% what the competitors are doing.
Yeah.
I know every program, every offering, everything that it's doing,
Mhm.
but how do we educate our team
Mhm.
to give their unique value proposition so they're better
Yeah. All
and
right,
our
I
agent?
have a couple of lightning round questions and the most overrated marketing tactic in real estate right now.
Buy more leads without fixing conversion.
Okay. Most underrated one.
Warm retargeting. Please do warm retargeting, whether it be FUB, whether it be Google, whether it be Meta. It
Yeah.
is so easy and just do that. Very, very easy.
One thing agents should stop doing on social media immediately.
Please stop posting templated Canva graphics. Please, at least personalize them, because they build zero brand equity. So you're not meant to take the template and leave the same photo in it, right? You know what I'm saying? So personalize those things. You need to stop doing that. Also, make sure when you're doing the other thing that I would advise, when you're doing social content, your content needs to be 60% you, authentically you, right?
Yeah.
40% listings.
One thing they should start doing tomorrow. Let's say brokers. What should brokers start doing tomorrow?
Brokers should start really looking at, when we're talking about, actually, can I go into like the consolidation piece? Because
Sure.
I think that's what really, what we're really talking about when we go into that. So when you look at brokerages in terms of like what we're talking about, because the biggest thing that brokerages have trouble with, especially with this consolidation, is like you have identity delusion of your identity, like, and the agent's identity. You have culture friction, right? You have integration fatigue, whether or not you're leading a digital transformation, because 90% of companies are right now.
Yeah.
You have operational slowdown. You have unclear value propositions. So when we look at like what needs to happen, these are the 5 things that brokerages need to do right now in order to succeed. They need to know that agents know exactly what the brand stands for and why do they care. That's number 1. Like, you can sit here and tell it, but can an agent sit here and repeat your brand in 1 sentence? And do they know what it means? 2, agility. Are you able to move? Like, if you're a big brokerage, for example, are you able to move like the indies can?
Yeah.
Because the indies can adopt new tools 10 times faster than enterprise roll-ups. So you need to look at that. Number 3, like, do you provide a sense of community and belonging? So when I look at it, I'm like, do your agents, and this is a win for like the indies, do they have leadership access? Do they have membership? Are they part of initiatives? Or are they put in just a regular box in terms of, how they're going to agree? And then 2 more is kind of like, do they have the flexibility that we talked about, which is operationally? They need to ask themselves that from a marketing standpoint. Are you plugging in the best in class tools based on what you think is good, or how agents are actually utilizing and building their business? Are you incorporating what agents are currently using on their own, right? And then lastly, this is like my biggest thing, and my best advice is you need to be in the strategic middle lane, which means you're not corporate, you're not boutique, you're high performance, you are human, you are scalable, you are nimble. Like, I would say those are the number 1 things. So I would recommend for brokerages, like, talk to agents who have been switching brokerages. The top reasons, like, yes, you're always going to have the top reasons that are splits, but the 4 top things that they go for are culture, alignment, brand identity, leadership access, and obviously building careers and how they're going to do that. So I think we really listened to them, and that's what they have to do.
Great. This was really informative. I think brokers are going to have to listen to this a couple times and take some notes. Thanks so much, Lauren, for sharing on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure, Tracey. I loved it.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you.
Thank you.